Hello, Action Takers. It's Lauren, the Action Taker podcast this week. I am sharing with you a series of live videos that I did in the Action Taker community Facebook group. This was a watch party for the Action Taker Business Challenge. It's live. It's still going on right now. I encourage you to go head over to laurencosgrave.com/challenge. If you are ready to take your business from cute to legitimate, please go join this challenge. I'm sharing with you my strategies for building out the foundations of your business. This is one of the main 4 pillars of the Action Taker systems, and I'm sharing with you some great things that is the first time I'm ever sharing outside of my paid programs, particularly the simple sales script solution. How can you build a custom sales framework that's congruent to you? Building a mission statement that you love. What are the only 2 numbers that you need to know in your business? All of the exact tools that I use in my business. I share that with you here in the Action Taker Business Challenge. So please go join and enjoy these live watch party recordings here where I share with you additional tips and strategies. So if you hear me talking about or referencing things in the Facebook group or saying hello to people, that's where it comes from. So join the Facebook group if you haven't already. And now enrollment is open for the Action Taker Monthly program. I want to invite you to find your tribe and your coach. If you have never had a business coach before and you're curious like what it might be like, this is a great introduction to it. Or perhaps you are a more seasoned entrepreneur. Maybe you've been in business for a year or 2, but you've kind of done the spaghetti against the wall approach and you're ready to put some structure into your business. The Action Taker Monthly program is a great solution for that. During this program, I'm going to be covering different and various topics across the Action Taker pillars. We'll be talking about your foundations of your business, what tools to use, and what are the latest, greatest in the marketplace right now. How to build out your base camp, and then how to be successful in your climatization climbs and social media, podcasting, writing a book, whatever that is for you to become that leader in your space. So the Action Taker Monthly, it's once a month. We'll be meeting for an hour. I'll be sharing with you a little bit of training and what I'm learning, what's new, what's fresh, and then a live Q&A. I'm committed to keeping this small, so enrollment will not be open forever. If it gets too big, I'm going to close it down so that I can ensure that I can continue that Q&A with you. All right, Action Takers, so go check it out. It's open for enrollment right now over at laurencosgrave.com/ATMonthly. So go check out the Action Taker Monthly program. And I hope you enjoyed today's re-recording of the live watch party from the Facebook group. Welcome to the Action Taker podcast. Hi, I'm Lauren Cosgrave, and I'm a business coach. In this podcast, you'll find an action-packed look at the strategies, tactics, and mindset that lead to successful online coaching, consulting, and service businesses, even if you're a mighty team of 1. I hope that everyone had a wonderful weekend. Even if you're watching this on the recording, so excited, glad to have you here as a part of the Action Taker Business Challenge watch party. Today, we're going to talk about the right way to niche. Okay, raise your hand if you came out of your coaching certification or you started your business and one of the first things people told you was the riches are in the niches and you've got to go find your niche. And you started a list and you said, okay, my niche is women ages 30 to 32 and they live in Topeka, Kansas. They like to eat tacos. Their hair is brown. They maybe have 2.5 children. All of those little demographic items. And you launched your business and you went out there and you started niching to this very small specific group of individuals, and it failed and it flopped and you didn't know why. You niched. You did what everyone told you to do. And you were kind of clunky. You were actually turning people away for your services, for your coaching or your consulting because they weren't in Topeka, Kansas, named Karen, age 30 to 32. That is the old way of doing business. That used to be okay 5-10 years ago, before the explosion of the online business place. It used to be okay to figure out just a small niche, go out there, share your services for that specific group, and the riches will start coming in. And so many of these pieces are really outdated, and they got outdated fast. let me tell you, just within 2020, just in the past 2 years, things have shifted dramatically. The mountain has been moved in the world of online business marketing. And the action taker systems are designed to support that new way of online business marketing. And some of the elements, there are 4 pillars of the action taker systems. There are foundations, which that's what we're talking about here during the Action Taker Business Challenge, is building out the foundations, the systems that define the foundations of your business. It's what's going to go in your backpack, because entrepreneurship is like climbing a mountain. The second pillar is your base camp, is knowing the base operations that you need to have to sustain a business, and having a place that you can retreat to when life happens, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. What are your sales? How do you serve your clients? How do you continue a prospecting stream? The third pillar of the Action Taker systems is the acclimatization climbs. That's getting out on social media. That's starting a podcast, doing a webinar, writing a book, doing live speaking engagements, retreats. All of those crazy, challenging, shiny objects live in that pillar of the acclimatization climbs. And the fourth and final most important pillar is tools. This is, again, foundations and tools are what go in your backpack. And tooling is understanding the online marketing landscape of tools and software that are available to you. If you don't master them, if you don't know how to use them, if you don't stay up to date on the latest and greatest in tools, you will get left behind. Who's on Clubhouse yet? Who's on TikTok? I mean, just in the past 2 years, we have 2 major social media outlets that have just been introduced. And don't even get me started about all the marketing tools that have been launched in the past couple of years. So what happens for a lot of people is they may have great foundations. They may know who they serve. They may have a solid niche already. They may have good sales scripts. And they may have a good base camp, but they're living in that 100% organic marketing world. They're still joining network group after network group, and they're staying stuck because it's all on their back. It's all on their shoulders, and their growth is dictated by the amount of time that they can put in a day. And you know what? Everybody has the same amount of hours in a day, whether you're Oprah or you're Lauren Cosgrave, just trying to do something from your desk. And we have to be able to maximize those hours and use automation to our advantage, so that it's no longer, our growth is no longer resident and rest on our shoulders of how many people we can get out in the world and shake hands and meet. And so what a lot of entrepreneurs are missing is those acclimatization climbs and the tools. They're scared of the tech. So they kind of like, no, I'll just keep getting out there handing out business cards. And they don't have the acclimatization climbs. They're like, ugh, social media, I don't like it. I just don't even want to go there. It feels gross to me. And so I'll just keep doing things my own way. But what happens if you miss out on those things is that automation piece, is that you're limited by the amount of hours that you can put into your day. And so the Action Taker systems bring all 4 of those things into synergy. And it educates you and gives you the confidence that you need so that you can learn social media. And the reason that I put all of that online marketing in the bucket called acclimatization climbs is because they're just skills. They're skills that you need to learn just like anyone else. And it just takes time and a project. And you're going to have to try things on, and they may not work, and you retreat. You know, everything in marketing and online business is a test, right? And so we have to have a system that enables us to give ourselves time to build those acclimatization skills and then retreat when they don't work for a while or we have something happen. But we still have the tools in place to do some automation in the background, and we're building and we're growing them. And our foundations are solid so that we know exactly who we serve and what our mission statement is. And our base camp, we know what that bare minimum is that can't ever be forgotten. So these are all the 4 pillars of the Action Taker systems that really help modern entrepreneurs move into that Action Taker entrepreneur status and stop being stagnant and stuck in the old ways of doing business where you just go get a niche and you go market and you go out into networking events. You've got to do more than that to be able to grow a business that's going to give you the wealth and affluentness that you desire. The whole reason you started a business, right? So that you could bring something to your family that you'd never experienced before. And so that you could be in service of others on a level that you couldn't create in a corporate career. So that's what we're going to talk about here in the Action Taker systems. The Action Taker Business Challenge is spread across your foundations and your tools. So we're talking about all the things that need to go in your backpack. Okay, so we're not going to talk about base camp. We're not going to talk about acclimatization climbs. At the end of this, I'll share with you what other systems and products that I have that can help you build out those elements. But the point of the Action Taker Business Challenge is for you to build out your foundations and your tools in your kit so that you can be successful in growing into that action taker entrepreneur. So today's focus is going to be on niching. We're going to talk about a new topic each day this week, Monday through Friday. I'm going to strive to be here at noon Pacific. If I need to shift it at all, I'll change that. And if you still need to register for the challenge, I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. It's www.laurencosgrave.com/challenge. It's a free 5-day business challenge. You can follow along with us here. Make sure you go and sign up for it. You'll get 5 days of free access to the content that's in there. And you can follow along and do the lessons with each of these watch party live sessions. And during these sessions, I'm going to go even deeper. I'm going to tell you even more about the topics than I share in the course. Let's start. I'd love to tell you guys a little bit of story about my own journey with niching. And here's why this whole concept of like demographic niching can fail and be such a struggle. When I started out my practice as a life and executive coach. I'm a certified high performance coach by training. And everyone said niche, and usually your niche is you from a couple years ago. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay, let me figure out who's me from a couple years ago. I was a corporate professional. I was working at Facebook. I was completely burnt out. Went through a very terrible episode of postpartum depression where it was all focused at my job. I came home crying at the end of my day saying, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. I was completely disconnected from a life of service. And I liked my coworkers, but I didn't connect with them. They weren't reading personal development books like I was. They weren't investing in a life coach like I was. They weren't striving to grow beyond the corporate structure and find something new for them. And so when I decided to become a life coach, I'm like, oh, I'm going to change corporate. I was going to change the world, right? I was going to go out there and I was going to bring the coaching to everyone in the corporate space. And they were going to live these renewed lives where they were no longer going to be burned out. They were no longer going to be chained to the 9-to-5. Well, when I did that, I realized I actually don't really like working with those people. That was the whole reason that I left in the first place, was because I identified more as an entrepreneur, because I identified as the action taker world that I'm now in. And that wasn't what I found in the corporate space. And so by taking that stale advice of just go niche around who you are from your past, I ended up working some really great people, but they just weren't aligned with what really lit me up and got me in flow. And what started to happen was I had other coaches come to me and start tapping me on the shoulder and say, hey, Lauren, how do I go live on Facebook? Just like I'm doing right here with you now. Hey, Lauren, how do I build out a sales page or use Kajabi? Or I'm really struggling in my sales calls. How are you closing high ticket sales? And I started sharing and I started giving that advice. And someone said to me, Lauren, you should charge people for this advice. And I was like, boom, light bulb. Niche immediately shifted. I immediately shifted from serving other corporate individuals to serving entrepreneurs, to serving people that shared my psychographics. They shared my values of freedom, of career freedom, financial freedom, of being in action, having a bias towards action, of going against the grain, taking what you were supposed to do and setting that aside and saying, no, I'm going to do what's written on my heart. I'm going to build a career where I'm helping people in a unique way that only I can help them. And that's when things started to shift and started to click, is I no longer had demographics in my past self. I connected first and foremost with what are the values and the type of people that I love working with, that I wanted to surround myself with, that could use my product and services. So in the challenge today, when you are learning about niching, you're going to learn about how to do that based off of psychographics, of writing a list around what are the values and traits that those people embody as opposed to the demographics. The demographics follow later. The demographics come after you've started serving a couple people. Yes, we need demographics when you start turning on Facebook advertising or doing targeted advertising, and it does help, but you have to start with the psychographics and identity first. Otherwise, you're going to miss that, and you're going to dive into a niche that may never mesh with you, that may never connect with who you are and what you do. Okay? So that's what I want you to focus on there with the psychographics. Now, here's what is going to supercharge your efforts around the right way to niche. To take this one step further, you need to define what are the elements of your hopeful prospect. So the hopeful prospect or your stuck prospect is that individual that's coming to you on a sales call. Your sales calls are the most fruitful activities when it comes to niching. You will learn more about your niche on a sales call with someone than you ever will. So if you're just starting out, if you're joining this call, if you're watching this video and you are just starting your business and you've yet to have a single sales call, know that this may change for you. All of the elements of your foundations and your tools will change and evolve with you. That's why it goes in your backpack. You're always changing out what goes in your kit, right? With the latest and greatest. So your niche will evolve over time, and you got to have a little bit of experience under your belt, but you got to start somewhere, right? So start with just like your friends, like the people you like working with, if you're really stuck there. But now I want you to take that one step further by writing out what are those elements that are keeping your prospects stuck? Why are they coming to you? What is the problem that they need solved? Okay. And what are the feelings and emotions that they're experiencing because they have this stuck problem? And then on the other side of that, we're going to do both polar ends of the spectrum here to take your niche another step further. List out the feelings and emotions that your prospect is going to have once they're successful, your successful prospect. So we've got our stuck prospect and our successful prospect. Well, they're now the successful client, right? Because they've gone through our system or our program or our process, whatever it is that you deliver. What are those feelings, those emotions, those traits that they're going to have when they come out on the other side? There may be an identity shift there. And hopefully there is. Hopefully they go from feeling like a stuck, struggling entrepreneur to a successful and action-taking, confident entrepreneur. Those are the types of things that you want to look for when you're niching and when you're doing your sales calls, is rooting out, is this person trying to become my successful client? Or are they a stuck prospect, but they don't have that vision of that successful client? Maybe you need to teach them that vision and get them to embody it. Or if they don't, if they have a different vision that doesn't align with yours, you need that red velvet rope policy and say, it might be another solution for you. I had an example of this recently. I had someone come to me that had her heart set on course creation. That's all she wanted to do. She didn't want to be a coach. And even though I teach my clients how to do course creation, the Action Taker Systems is an all embodying 100% end-to-end business system for growing your business and your practice. She didn't want a full business or practice. She just wanted a little extra side income. So the Action Taker Systems are not for the dabblers, not for the hobbyist in the entrepreneurial world. The Action Taker Systems are for the people that are serious, that want their passions to become their careers. So add that little booster onto your niching activities today. When you're thinking about your psychographics and your demographics, take that one step further to think about that gap that you are closing with your product or service. How are you going to take someone from stuck prospect to successful client? And what are those feelings, emotions, and traits and identities that they're going to embody? You will then start to gain crystal clarity on who you serve. Your sales calls will become easier. Your messaging will become easier because you're going to talk about those two dichotomies, those two ends of the spectrum. Your program may need to change once you gain clarity around this. You may realize that, oops, my program doesn't help people make that jump, and you might need to adjust some things, and that's okay too. But when it does click in, we find new direction that we hadn't had before. All right. Niching is hard, right? Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold I'm getting over here. There's a reason that there is these huge constructs out there around answering all these questions about like what type of movie your prospect likes to, or your ideal client avatar likes to watch, or there's tons and tons of free resources that you can get out there around resourcing, around building out who your ideal client avatar is. And the reason it's so hard is that we can't do it just sitting at a desk. We have to be in action serving people before our niche becomes clear. And we have to have that support system that's going to push us out into the deep end of the pool and keep us from staying in our safe zone, or maybe serving people that we don't really admire or enjoy being around. It really just comes down to joy. So many of things come down to joy. And so what I want you to believe, action takers, is that your niche is yours and that you are allowed to say no to people that don't fit into your world. This is the whole beauty of being an entrepreneur, is that we get to choose the people that we want to surround ourselves with. And that's why it's so important that we get this niching part right. And I don't even like to call it niching. I like to call it knowing your people, because they really are your people. They're the people that are going to carry your business into the future. They're your people that are going to be your lifelong fans. They're your people that are going to be your tribe. They're the family that you get to choose, not the one that's given to you in your corporate or other activities that you may do in life. And so to be successful, you've got to be committed to defining your niche and stay in action and refine it. You've got to be okay with pivoting and changing. I've made a pivot a couple of times. I shifted from corporate individuals to creative entrepreneurs, now to business and service-based entrepreneurs. And my gut says, yeah, there was a fire in my belly that lit up when I started working with those. So you've got to be willing to take those steps. You got to be willing to put in that hard work. Some of you may be able to niche quickly. You may have already had all these experiences that have led you up to have crystal clarity around who you serve. Some of you, this may be your first entrepreneurial endeavor ever, and you don't have clarity yet, but you got to try. So I want you to commit to at least one niche today. I want you to commit to those psychographics. And that's why I like this psychographics versus demographics model, is that it's pretty easy for people to describe who they like to hang out with and work with, when it's a little bit tougher to describe with excruciating levels of detail around what type of food they like to eat or where they live. All right. So the action taker systems help you define this, help you navigate that journey that is figuring out what your niche is, if it is that new thing that you're striving to figure out. And it gives you that support to bounce ideas off of. You cannot niche in a vacuum. You can't just do this from your desk. Here's one other power tip for you. I want you to take no more than 20 minutes on this activity alone. And then you have to get out there and you have to test this on other people. You have to get it out in the world and see if it fits with them. If you got to talk about it with other peers, you got to have a coach, or you have to have a group and community of other fellow entrepreneurs that are figuring out their niche. So if you need another level of help, here's where I want to offer that help to you. And I'm launching a brand new program today. You guys are going to be the first ones to hear it in the Action Taker community here on Facebook. It's the Action Taker Monthly Business Training. And it'll be much like this training that I'm giving you here today. And I'm going to go deep in foundations, tools, base camp, acclimatization climbs. All four of the pillars are going to come out in those monthly training sessions. And I'm going to help you build those skills and build out your action taker systems in your businesses so that you can break out of that old norm of 100% organic marketing and pounding the pavement. And just picking a niche, go join a couple of networking groups, and the money will start rolling in. I don't know about you, but I've seen that fail time and time again. I'm going to give you that confidence to break into that online marketing realm so that you can tap into the 8 billion people on this planet. 2 billion already are on Facebook that need your services right now. They need your product and services today so that they can make a transition. The Action Taker monthly program, I'm going to drop it in the chat here if you want to join it. It's laurencosgrave.com/AT monthly. It's just $59 a month. You'll get worksheets. You'll have an hour live training session. Plus, you'll get live Q&A with me. This training, like most people sell this for $97, $197. Mine is just $59 because I want you in action. I also have limited availability for this, and just for people that join during this week, I'm going to give you a copy of the Action Taker Planner. So I'll be able to tell in my system, if you join the Action Taker monthly program this week by this Friday at midnight, you'll get a hard copy of the Action Taker Planner. This is one of the foundational systems in my world for productivity. This will cross all aspects of your life, but you'll get a copy of the planner if you sign up by midnight on Friday. Would love to have you in the monthly program. And you know what? If this is the first time we've met, give it a try. I have a free money back guarantee. The first session will be March 31st. If you come to that training, you're like, hey, you know what? This just isn't for me. I'll give you 100% money back guarantee and let you leave with love. And you'll still get to keep a copy of the planner. So please come check it out if this is at all speaking to you. I'm also have a bonus of a fast action session so that we can get on a call one-on-one. I want to get to know you. I want to hear what your challenges are in niching or building out the systems in your business and how the action taker systems might help you. All right, so that's the action taker challenge just went out there. Let me check the chat here to make sure that all of the, okay, so the challenge went out. I don't know about monthly. I'm going to drop it in one more time. What questions do you have? I have some time here. I can stick around. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask on the chat and that I can cover during this live session? And if not, if you don't have any questions now, but you come up with one later, please put it in the Action Taker community group. I'm in there personally. I will answer your questions. Okay, so I'm putting the link to, there you go. Okay, we got the two links in there. One, join the challenge at laurencosgrave.com/challenge. And if the monthly program seems like a right fit for you, you can head over to laurencosgrave.com/action taker or AT monthly. All right. Well, let's see. Thank you for being here. Those of you that joined live, so excited and happy to have you guys. And as always, ask questions in the group. Stay in action. We'll be here same time tomorrow, 12 Pacific here in the Action Taker Facebook community. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about mission statement power. I am so excited to talk about this topic. Had some fantastic breakthroughs with some clients recently, building a really solid mission statement so that you can get in action and have that North Star for yourself and your business. So until then, be well, and I'll see you tomorrow.